For 3,000 years, Earth had known only peace. It was a time of prosperity, unity, and progress. The planet was no longer divided by borders or ruled by greed. Centuries earlier, humanity had faced the brink of destruction. Wars over. Resources, political power, and ideologies had nearly wiped out civilization. But from those ashes rose a new world order. Nations dissolved into one global government called the United Earth Council, UEC. Conflicts became history lessons, told in museums and classrooms to remind future generations of what once was. The people of Earth lived harmoniously with nature. Advanced technology allowed them to grow food without harming ecosystems, travel effortlessly across continents using clean energy, and even explore the stars. Cities were marvels of engineering and design, blending seamlessly with their surroundings. Towering skyscrapers weren't cold steel but living structures covered in greenery, housing millions while filtering air and producing oxygen. In orbit around Earth floated massive space stations that monitored weather patterns, tracked asteroids, and scanned deep space for signs of extraterrestrial life. One such station was Aegis Prime, humanity's most advanced observatory, located at Lagrange Point 2, a stable position between Earth and the Sun. It served as the eyes and ears of humanity's cosmic curiosity. Its primary mission was simple yet profound: to search for intelligent life beyond Earth. For decades, scientists aboard Aegis Prime had studied distant galaxies, analyzed mysterious signals, and mapped uncharted star systems. But so far, nothing definitive had been found. Many began to believe that humanity truly was alone in the universe, or at least safe from hostile forces. Dr. Elena Vasquez was one of those scientists. A brilliant astrophysicist in her early 40s, she had dedicated her life to unraveling the mysteries of the cosmos. Her colleagues admired her sharp mind and relentless determination. She often worked long hours poring over data and running simulations, driven by an insatiable thirst for knowledge. On this particular morning, however, something unusual caught her attention. It started as a blip on the radar, a faint anomaly near the edge of human-controlled space. At first, Elena thought it might be interference from solar radiation or perhaps a glitch in the equipment. Such occurrences weren't uncommon, especially given how sensitive Aegis Prime's instruments were. But when she zoomed in on the readings, her heart skipped a beat. This wasn't random noise, it was moving. And not just drifting aimlessly, it was heading directly toward Earth. Elena's hands trembled slightly as she adjusted the settings to get a clearer view. What she saw made her stomach churn. Hundreds of objects, too large and too fast to be natural, were approaching in formation. They weren't comets, asteroids, or any celestial body she recognized. These were ships. Alien ships. She stared at the screen, trying to process what she was seeing. The implications were staggering. If these vessels belonged to intelligent beings, then humanity was no longer alone. But why were they coming here? Were they explorers seeking contact, or invaders intent on conquest? Either way, there was no denying the urgency of the situation. Without wasting another moment, Elena activated the emergency alert system. "Attention all personnel," she announced over the intercom, her voice steady despite the fear bubbling inside her. "We have detected an unidentified fleet entering our sector. I repeat, we are detecting multiple unknown vessels approaching Earth." Within minutes, alarms blared throughout Aegis Prime. Scientists scrambled to verify Elena's findings, while communications officers relayed the information to the UEC headquarters on Earth. Back on the planet below, the news spread like wildfire. Emergency broadcasts interrupted television shows, music streams, and virtual reality games. People paused mid-conversation, staring at holographic screens as reporters delivered updates in hushed tones. At first, many dismissed the reports as some sort of elaborate hoax. After all, humanity hadn't encountered aliens in recorded history. War itself was considered an ancient relic, a concept taught only in textbooks. How could alien invaders suddenly appear after millennia of peace? Yet as images of the approaching fleet appeared on screens worldwide, skepticism turned to disbelief, and then to panic. In cities, crowds gathered in public squares, pointing skyward and whispering anxiously. Parents hugged their children tighter, unsure of what the future held. In rural areas, farmers abandoned their fields and rushed indoors, locking doors and windows as if physical barriers could protect them from whatever was coming. Even in the Paidu, vastness of space, astronauts aboard orbital habitats exchanged worried glances, wondering if they'd be the first to encounter the unknown visitors. Meanwhile, the UEC convened an emergency session. Leaders from every region of Earth assembled in the council chamber, a grand hall adorned with murals depicting humanity's journey from chaos to unity. Normally, debates here were calm and measured, but today the room buzzed with tension. Representatives argued over how to respond. Some advocated immediate evacuation plans, while others pushed for diplomatic outreach. A few even suggested launching preemptive strikes, though no one knew whether humanity's outdated weapons would stand a chance against an advanced alien force. Among the voices clamoring for action was Captain Marcus Kane, a retired military officer who now taught strategy. At the UEC Academy, though he hadn't seen combat himself, his expertise in historical battles made him a respected figure. When the council asked for input, Marcus stepped forward, his expression grim but resolute. "History has shown us that waiting is often more dangerous than acting," he said, addressing the assembly. If these aliens mean us harm, we cannot afford to sit idly by. We must prepare to defend ourselves, and quickly." His words resonated with many. While humanity had dismantled most of its military infrastructure during the long era of peace, remnants of its war machine still existed. Hidden beneath mountains and buried in deserts were caches of ancient weapons, relics of a time when violence ruled the world. Factories capable of producing starships and fighters lay dormant, awaiting orders to spring back to life. Volunteers lined up by the thousands, eager to serve in whatever capacity they could. Humanity may have forgotten how to wage war, but it hadn't forgotten how to fight. As preparations began, Elena continued monitoring the alien fleet from Aegis Prime. Every hour brought them closer to Earth, their trajectory unwavering. Their speed was astonishing, faster than anything humanity's engineers had ever achieved. Whatever these beings were, they possessed technology far beyond Earth's capabilities. Elena couldn't shake the feeling that humanity was woefully unprepared. The last war had ended 3 millennia ago, and since then society had focused on cooperation rather than conflict. Now faced with an existential threat, humanity was scrambling to relearn skills it had long abandoned. Would it be enough? Or would Earth fall victim to its own complacency? Back on the planet's surface, Marcus inspected rows of newly reactivated starfighters. Each vessel gleamed under the artificial lights of the hangar bay, its sleek design reminiscent of models used centuries earlier. Pilots climbed into cockpits, adjusting controls and running diagnostics. Engineers worked tirelessly to ensure every ship was battle-ready. Despite the gravity of the situation, there was a sense of determination in the air. Humanity had survived countless challenges before, and it wouldn't go down without a fight. But as the days ticked away and the alien fleet drew nearer, doubt crept into everyone's minds. Could humanity really stand against an enemy it barely understood? Or was this the beginning of the end for the peaceful civilization they had built? Only time would tell. The days leading up to the alien fleet's arrival were some of the longest in Earth's recent history. Humanity braced itself for the unknown, unsure whether it was facing salvation or annihilation. Governments worked tirelessly to prepare defenses, while ordinary citizens tried to make sense of the chaos unfolding around them. News outlets broadcast non-stop updates, showing images of the approaching ships and interviews with experts who could only speculate about their intentions. On Aegis Prime, Dr. Elena Vasquez monitored the fleet with growing unease. Every scan revealed more details about the alien vessels, details that sent chills down her spine. Their ships were unlike anything humanity had ever encountered. Sleek and menacing, they resembled enormous black monoliths gliding silently through space. Each vessel emitted a faint green glow, pulsing rhythmically as if alive. Weapons arrays lined their exteriors, bristling with energy cannons and missile launchers. These weren't exploratory craft. They were warships. Elena shared her findings with the UEC, emphasizing the need for immediate action. These ships are designed for combat, she warned during a video conference. Their size alone suggests they're capable of devastating firepower. We can't afford to underestimate them. Her words weighed heavily on the council members. Many had spent their careers promoting peace and cooperation, not warfare. Now they found themselves grappling with decisions no one thought they'd ever have to make. Should they attempt diplomacy? Or should they assume the worst and prepare for battle? While debates raged on Earth, Marcus Kane took charge of organizing humanity's defense. Though retired, he still carried himself with the authority of a seasoned commander. His first order of business was reactivating the Starblade fleet, a collection of starships originally built centuries ago, but mothballed after the era of peace began. Engineers worked around the clock to repair and upgrade these vessels, equipping them with modern technology scavenged from civilian industries. Marcus also recruited pilots and crew members from across the globe. Some were former military personnel. Like him, other civilians eager to contribute. Among them was Lieutenant Sarah Chen, a young engineer who had spent years designing propulsion systems for interplanetary travel. Her technical expertise made her invaluable, and Marcus assigned her to oversee maintenance operations aboard the flagship Victory's Dawn. As preparations continued, the alien fleet entered Earth's solar system. They passed Jupiter without incident, their course steady and unwavering. On Earth, anticipation reached fever pitch. Cities dimmed their lights at night to reduce visibility, while underground bunkers filled with frightened citizens seeking refuge. Schools closed, businesses shut down, and streets emptied as people huddled indoors, glued to their screens for any sign of hope or doom. Finally, the moment came. The alien ships crossed Mars's orbit and entered Earth's vicinity. Their sheer scale became apparent as they loomed larger in telescopic views. One ship in particular stood out, a colossal vessel twice the size of the others. Its surface shimmered with strange symbols that pulsed faintly, giving it an almost otherworldly appearance. This, everyone assumed, was the flagship. Then, without warning, the aliens struck. Massive beams of green energy erupted from their ships, targeting Earth's orbital defenses. Satellites exploded in brilliant flashes, raining fiery debris onto the planet below. Space stations, including Aegis Prime, scrambled to evade the onslaught. Elena watched in horror as several of her colleagues perished when their section of the station was obliterated by a direct hit. She barely escaped herself, narrowly avoiding death as chunks of the facility tore apart around her. On the ground, chaos erupted. People screamed and ran for cover as flaming wreckage streaked across the sky. Entire cities lost power as communication networks collapsed under the barrage. The UEC struggled to maintain order, issuing frantic broadcasts urging calm. But fear spread faster than reassurance. Marcus sprang into action. From the bridge of Victory's Dawn, he coordinated a desperate counterattack. Using outdated tactics combined with cutting-edge ingenuity, his fleet launched swarms of fighters to harass the enemy ships. Pilots darted between the alien vessels, firing salvos of missiles and plasma bolts. For a brief moment, it seemed like humanity might hold its own. But the Zorathians, as they came to be called, were relentless. Their shields absorbed most of the attacks, deflecting energy blasts and shrugging off missile strikes. When they retaliated, their weapons cut through human defenses like paper. Fighter squadrons were wiped out in seconds, and several starships disintegrated under concentrated fire. Despite the odds, Marcus refused to give up. He ordered his flagship to lead a daring assault on the Zorathian flagship, hoping to disable its command center and disrupt the enemy's coordination. Flying through a storm of enemy fire, Victory's Dawn unleashed everything it had: lasers, torpedoes, even experimental EMP charges designed to overload alien systems. For a fleeting second, the massive vessel faltered, its glowing symbols flickering erratically. But just as quickly, the Zorathians recovered. A devastating counterstrike crippled Victory's Dawn, forcing Marcus to retreat. The human fleet limped back toward Earth's atmosphere, battered and demoralized. Behind them, the alien armada advanced, undeterred. Back on Earth, scientists raced to understand their foes. Data collected from surviving satellites and damaged drones revealed disturbing insights. The Zorathians were not merely invaders. They were conquerors. Their society thrived on subjugation, assimilating weaker species into their empire and erasing cultures along the way. To them, humanity was little more than an obstacle, a pest to be exterminated or enslaved. This revelation ignited a fire within humanity. Fear gave way to resolve. People realized this wasn't just about survival. It was about preserving everything they had built over 3 millennia. Factories doubled production, churning out new starships and weapons. Civilians volunteered, en masse, offering whatever skills they had to support the war effort. Even children pitched in, helping assemble equipment and distribute supplies. Amid the turmoil, Elena made a breakthrough. Analyzing intercepted transmissions, she discovered a pattern in the Zorathians' shield frequencies. By synchronizing multiple attacks at specific intervals, it was possible to create interference that temporarily weakened their defenses. She immediately relayed this information to Marcus, who saw an opportunity. "Listen up," Marcus addressed his crew over the ship-wide intercom. "We've got one shot at turning this around. If we time our attacks right, we can punch through their shields and hit them where it hurts. It's risky, but it's our best chance." His words inspired hope among the weary crew. For the first time since the invasion began, there was a plan, a glimmer of possibility. As repairs were completed and fresh reinforcements arrived, Marcus prepared his fleet for another engagement. This time, they wouldn't simply fight back. They would strike strategically, aiming to cripple the Zorathians' ability to wage war. Meanwhile, on Earth, ordinary citizens rallied together. In New York City, engineers repurposed skyscraper materials to build makeshift shelters. In Tokyo, volunteers distributed food and medical supplies to displaced families. In rural Africa, farmers pooled resources to grow emergency crops, ensuring no one went hungry amidst the crisis. Across the planet, acts of courage and compassion reminded everyone what they were fighting for, not just life, but the values that defined humanity. As the sun rose on a new day, the skies above Earth remained darkened by smoke and ash. Yet beneath the clouds, humanity stood united. The Zorathians had underestimated their opponents, believing humans to be weak and divided. What they hadn't counted on was the resilience born from centuries of peace, a resilience fueled by love, creativity, and an unyielding determination to protect the future. The stage was set for humanity's next move. Would it be enough to turn the tide? Only time would tell. But one thing was certain. Earth was no longer willing to bow to anyone, not even gods from the stars. The battle against the Zorathians had reached a critical turning point. After suffering devastating losses in their first encounter, humanity was forced to regroup and rethink its strategy. The alien fleet loomed menacingly in Earth's orbit, its ships glowing ominously as they prepared for another wave of attacks. But beneath the planet's scarred surface, something remarkable was happening. Humanity was fighting back. Captain Marcus Kane stood on the bridge of Victory's Dawn, staring at holographic maps projected before him. His flagship had been patched up after its near destruction, but it still bore the scars of battle. Burn marks streaked its hull, and entire sections of the ship had been rebuilt using salvaged materials. Yet despite its battered appearance, Victory's Dawn remained operational, a symbol of humanity's refusal to surrender. Marcus turned to his crew, addressing them with quiet authority. "We've analyzed their tactics," he said, pointing to the map. "Their shields are strong but not invincible. If we hit them all at once using synchronized strikes, we can create gaps in their defenses. It's risky, but it's our only chance." His words resonated with the team. They were exhausted from weeks of constant combat, but determination burned brightly in their eyes. Lieutenant Sarah Chen nodded grimly, her hands moving swiftly over her console as she inputted coordinates for the upcoming attack. Nearby, Commander Raj Patel reviewed fighter deployment plans, ensuring every pilot knew their role. Together, they formed a tight-knit unit, bound by shared purpose and trust. As preparations continued aboard the fleet, Earth itself transformed into a hive of activity. Factories churned out weapons and starships at unprecedented rates, while citizens volunteered en masse to support the war effort. In cities, engineers dismantled old buildings to extract valuable metals for ship construction. In rural areas, farmers worked tirelessly to feed the growing number of soldiers and refugees. Even children contributed, assembling munitions or delivering messages through augmented reality networks. One such volunteer was Maya Torres, a 19-year-old college student from Mexico City. Before the invasion, she had dreamed of becoming an artist, spending her days painting vibrant murals that celebrated human creativity. Now her brushes had been replaced by welding torches as she helped repair damaged fighters in a makeshift hangar. Though scared, Maya felt a deep sense of pride knowing her work might save lives. "If I can't paint beauty," she told a friend, "then I'll build strength." Meanwhile, Dr. Elena Vasquez continued her research aboard what remained of Aegis Prime. The once majestic observatory now floated in pieces, held together by hastily welded plates and reinforced bulkheads. Despite the chaos, Elena refused to abandon her post. She pored over data collected during previous battles, searching for any advantage humanity could exploit. Her breakthrough came unexpectedly. While analyzing intercepted transmissions from the Zorathian flagship, Elena noticed subtle fluctuations in their shield frequencies. These patterns suggested that the aliens' defenses relied on synchronized energy fields. If disrupted simultaneously, the shields would collapse temporarily. Armed with this knowledge, Elena devised a plan: coordinate multiple attacks targeting specific points on the enemy vessels to overload their systems. She transmitted her findings to Marcus, who immediately incorporated them into his strategy. Using advanced targeting algorithms, the human fleet would focus fire on predetermined locations, creating interference that could disable the Zorathians' shields. It was a long shot, but it represented hope, a fragile lifeline in the face of overwhelming odds. The next phase of the war began above Earth's atmosphere. Pilots launched from carriers hidden behind the moon, swooping down toward the alien fleet in carefully choreographed formations. Each squadron carried payloads designed to exploit the shield vulnerability identified by Elena. As they approached, tension crackled through the air. Would the plan work? Or would humanity suffer yet another crushing defeat? The first wave struck with precision. Missiles streaked across space, slamming into designated targets on the Zorathians' hulls. For several agonizing seconds, nothing happened. Then, one by one, the green shields flickered and collapsed. Cheers erupted among the human fleet as pilots surged forward, unleashing everything they had at the exposed vessels. Explosions lit up the void as plasma bolts tore through alien armor. Fighters darted between larger ships, evading retaliatory fire while planting explosives on vulnerable spots. The Zorathians scrambled to recover, redirecting power to reinforce their failing defenses. But the damage had already been done. Several cruisers listed dangerously, their engines sputtering as fires spread uncontrollably. Encouraged by their success, Marcus ordered a second wave of attacks. This time, the human fleet targeted the smaller escort ships surrounding the flagship. Without these vessels providing cover, the massive command ship would be left exposed. Pilots executed daring maneuvers, weaving through enemy fire to deliver crippling blows. One by one, the escorts fell, leaving the flagship isolated and vulnerable. But the Zorathians weren't defeated yet. Recognizing the threat, their flagship unleashed a barrage of devastating energy beams. Entire squadrons were wiped out in moments, their ships disintegrating under the intense assault. The human fleet reeled, forced to retreat temporarily to regroup. Back aboard Victory's Dawn, Marcus clenched his fists in frustration. They had come so close to breaking through, but at what cost? Dozens of pilots lay dead, their dreams extinguished in the cold vacuum of space. Yet even as grief weighed heavily on his heart, Marcus knew they couldn't afford to falter. Every life lost strengthened their resolve to ensure no more sacrifices would be in vain. Elena watched the battle unfold from Aegis Prime, her stomach churning with anxiety. She had provided the key to weakening the Zorathians' shields, but seeing the toll it took on humanity broke her heart. Still, she reminded herself why they were fighting, not just for survival, but for the values that defined their species. Compassion, creativity, unity. These were worth protecting no matter the cost. On Earth, people prayed for their defenders' success. Refugees huddled in underground bunkers listening to radio broadcasts detailing the ongoing battle. Some whispered prayers, others clung to loved ones, but all shared a single hope, that humanity would prevail. Above them, the skies burned with streaks of light as explosions illuminated the horizon. It was a surreal sight, beautiful and terrifying at the same time. As the hours dragged on, the tide began to shift ever so slightly. With fewer escort ships to protect it, the Zorathian flagship became the primary target. Human fighters swarmed around it like bees attacking a hive, peppering its hull with relentless fire. Slowly, cracks appeared in its once impenetrable defenses. Panels buckled, exposing sensitive machinery beneath. Fires raged inside the vessel, visible through gaping holes in its structure. Seeing their opportunity, Marcus made a bold decision. He ordered Victory's Dawn to lead a final charge directly at the flagship. It was a suicide mission, one that risked losing the fleet's command center, but Marcus believed it was the only way to end the war. "This is it," he announced to his crew. "We either win here or we don't come back. Let's make sure Earth remembers us." With engines roaring, Victory's Dawn surged forward, flanked by surviving fighters. The Zorathians unleashed everything they had, bombarding the approaching ships with waves of energy blasts. Shields flared and buckled under the strain, but Marcus refused to retreat. Closer and closer they came until finally, they breached the flagship's outer defenses. In a blaze of glory, Victory's Dawn rammed into the alien vessel, triggering a chain reaction that engulfed both ships in flames. Secondary explosions rippled outward, consuming nearby escorts and sending shockwaves through the fleet. From Earth, the spectacle looked like a supernova erupting in the sky, a dazzling display of destruction that marked the end of the Zorathian threat. When the dust settled, silence filled the void. The alien fleet lay in ruins, its ships drifting lifelessly through space. On Earth, stunned disbelief gave way to cautious celebration. Against all odds, humanity had won. Exhausted but triumphant, survivors gathered aboard remaining starships, saluting the memory of those who had fallen. Among them was Lieutenant Sarah Chen, tears streaming down her face as she gazed at the wreckage of Victory's Dawn. Marcus Kane had given everything to protect Earth, and his sacrifice would never be forgotten. Though battered and bruised, humanity emerged stronger than ever. The war had tested their limits, but it had also reaffirmed their resilience. Together, they vowed to rebuild, not just their cities but their spirit, and high above the planet, hidden among the stars, floated Earth's newest creation, a fleet of star destroyers, ready to defend their world, or strike fear into anyone who dared threaten it again. The victory over the Zorathians came at a heavy price. Earth was scarred, both physically and emotionally. Cities lay in ruins, their once bustling streets now littered with debris and ash. Skyscrapers that had once touched the clouds were reduced to skeletal remains, their greenery gone, replaced by blackened husks. The oceans bore scars too. Massive chunks of alien wreckage had crashed into the water, disrupting ecosystems and leaving behind toxic remnants. Refugees filled underground bunkers, many having lost loved ones or homes. For billions of people, life as they knew it was forever changed. But amidst the devastation, humanity refused to give up. The war had awakened something deep within them. Spirit of resilience and unity that no invader could crush. People from all corners of the globe came together, pooling resources and skills to rebuild what had been destroyed. It wasn't just about restoring infrastructure. It was about preserving the values that made humanity unique. Compassion, creativity, and cooperation became the guiding principles of recovery efforts. In the weeks following the final battle, Cleanup operations began in earnest. Volunteers worked tirelessly to clear rubble and salvage usable materials. Engineers designed temporary shelters using recycled debris, creating safe spaces for displaced families. In one particularly inspiring project, a team in Tokyo repurposed fragments of fallen satellites to construct solar panels, providing much-needed energy to devastated areas. Meanwhile, farmers around the world collaborated to plant emergency crops, ensuring food supplies remained stable despite widespread disruption. Dr. Elena Vasquez returned to Earth after evacuating the remains of Aegis Prime. Though haunted by memories of her colleagues' deaths, she found solace in contributing to the rebuilding process. Her expertise in astrophysics proved invaluable as she helped analyze the environmental impact of the Zorathian attack. Toxic radiation from alien weapons had contaminated parts of the atmosphere, posing long-term health risks. Working alongside climatologists and biologists, Elena developed filtration systems capable of purifying air and water on a large scale. These innovations not only saved countless lives, but also restored hope to communities struggling to recover. As reconstruction efforts gained momentum, attention turned to honoring those who had sacrificed everything. Memorials sprang up across the planet, each one telling a story of courage and sacrifice. In New York City, where towering skyscrapers once dominated the skyline, a new monument stood tall, a shimmering obelisk inscribed with the names of fallen soldiers and civilians. Nearby, murals painted by artists like Maya Torres depicted scenes of heroism during the war, celebrating the indomitable human spirit. Every evening, crowds gathered at these sites, lighting candles and sharing stories of loved ones lost. These acts of remembrance served as reminders of the cost of freedom and the importance of protecting it. Captain Marcus Kane's name echoed loudest among the heroes remembered. Though he perished when Victory's Dawn rammed into the Zorathian flagship, his legacy lived on. His leadership and selflessness inspired generations to come. Lieutenant Sarah Chen, who survived the final battle, played a key role in preserving his memory. She wrote detailed accounts of Marcus's bravery, ensuring future textbooks would immortalize him as a symbol of humanity's triumph against overwhelming odds. "He didn't just lead us," Sarah said during an emotional speech at the memorial unveiling. "He reminded us what it means to be human. While Earth healed its wounds, lessons from the war shaped its future. Leaders recognized the dangers of complacency and vowed never again to let their guard down. Factories that had produced weapons during the conflict transitioned to building advanced starships and defense systems. Entire fleets were constructed, equipped with cutting-edge technology reverse-engineered from captured Zorathian vessels. Hidden among the clouds, these ships patrolled Earth's orbit, ready to intercept any threat before it reached the planet. The United Earth Council, UEC, underwent significant reforms as well. Recognizing the need for a dedicated military force, they established the Interstellar Defense Initiative, IDI, tasked with safeguarding humanity's interests beyond Earth. Veterans of the Zorathian War formed its backbone, bringing decades of experience to train new recruits. Among them was Commander Raj Patel, whose tactical genius earned him a leadership position within the IDI. Under his guidance, cadets learned not only how to fight, but also how to adapt to unforeseen challenges, a skill crucial for survival. In the vastness of space, education systems evolved to reflect this shift in priorities. Schools introduced courses on interstellar diplomacy, engineering, and even xenobiology, the study of alien life forms. Museums updated exhibits to include artifacts recovered from the Zorathian fleet, sparking curiosity about the universe beyond Earth. Children grew up dreaming not just of exploring the stars, but of defending their home planet. For many, the war became a defining moment, a turning point that redefined humanity's place in the cosmos. Yet alongside progress came lingering questions. What had driven the Zorathians to invade? And more importantly, were they truly gone, or merely regrouping somewhere far away? Scientists worked tirelessly to decode intercepted transmissions, piecing together fragments of the invaders' language and culture. Their findings painted a grim picture. The Zorathians viewed other species as inferior, believing conquest was their divine right. Entire civilizations had been wiped out under their rule, their histories erased to make way for the Butt Empire's expansion. This revelation fueled humanity's determination to prepare for whatever might come next. Exploration missions ventured farther into deep space, mapping uncharted territories and searching for signs of other intelligent life. Some hoped to find allies, species willing to stand beside humanity in case of another invasion. Others sought to uncover hidden threats, ensuring no enemy could catch them off guard again. One such mission, led by Dr. Elena Vasquez, aimed to explore a distant star system known as Proxima Centauri. Preliminary scans suggested the presence of habitable planets, raising hopes of discovering extraterrestrial civilizations capable of peaceful coexistence. Before departing, Elena addressed her crew, emphasizing the importance of caution. "We don't know what's out there," she said, her voice steady yet filled with resolve. "But we owe it to ourselves, and to those who fought for our survival, to find answers." Back on Earth, ordinary citizens continued to contribute to the collective effort. Artists like Maya Torres channeled their grief into powerful works of art, depicting both the horrors of war and the beauty of renewal. Musicians composed symphonies honoring fallen heroes, while writers penned novels imagining brighter futures. These creative expressions reminded everyone of what they were fighting for, not just survival but the ability to thrive. Slowly but surely, Earth began to heal. Greenery returned to cities as architects incorporated sustainable designs into rebuilding projects. Towers once again rose toward the sky, this time adorned with gardens and wildlife habitats. Rivers flowed cleaner thanks to advanced filtration. Systems and forests reclaimed land scarred by alien destruction. Humanity's connection to nature grew stronger than ever, serving as a testament to their commitment to harmony, not domination. But perhaps the most profound change occurred within people themselves. The war had stripped away illusions of invincibility, forcing humanity to confront its vulnerabilities. Yet instead of succumbing to fear, they emerged wiser and more united. They understood now that peace wasn't something to be taken for granted. It required vigilance, cooperation, and above all, courage. As the sun set on a rebuilt cityscape, children played beneath glowing streetlights powered by renewable energy. Above them, silhouettes of starships patrolled silently, guardians of a fragile yet resilient world. Humanity had faced extinction and emerged stronger, united not just by shared suffering but by a renewed sense of purpose. And so, Earth looked toward the stars, not with fear, but with hope. Whatever challenges awaited in the vast expanse of space, humanity was ready. After 3,000 years of peace interrupted by war, they had proven one thing beyond doubt: they could endure. Together, they would face whatever came next, with strength, ingenuity, and an unshakable belief in their ability to overcome. The war against the Zorathians had ended, but its impact rippled through every corner of human society. Earth was forever changed, not just by the scars left behind, but by the lessons learned and the unity forged in the crucible of conflict. The people of Earth were no longer naive dreamers living under the illusion of eternal peace. They had stared into the abyss and emerged stronger, wiser, and more determined than ever to protect their world. In the years that followed, humanity embarked on a journey of transformation. The United Earth Council, UEC, redefined its purpose, shifting from governance focused solely on internal harmony to one that prioritized interstellar security and exploration. The Interstellar Defense Initiative, IDI, led by Commander Raj Patel, became the backbone of humanity's new era. Starships patrolled the solar system, equipped with advanced weaponry and cloaking technology, reverse-engineered from captured Zorathian vessels. These ships weren't just tools of defense, they were symbols of humanity's resolve to never again be caught unprepared. One of the most significant changes was humanity's approach to space exploration. No longer content to simply observe, The star's explorers ventured farther than ever before. Missions launched to distant star systems, seeking answers about the Zorathians' origins and searching for signs of other intelligent life. Among these expeditions was Dr. Elena Vasquez's mission to Proxima Centauri. Her team carried not only scientific instruments, but also a message of hope, a declaration of humanity's desire for peaceful coexistence. If they encountered another species, they would extend an olive branch first, but they wouldn't hesitate to defend themselves if necessary. Elena's expedition proved groundbreaking. After months of travel, her crew discovered evidence of ancient ruins on a moon orbiting Proxima Centauri b. Though long abandoned, the structures contained inscriptions and artifacts hinting at a civilization that had once thrived there. While analyzing the data, Elena realized something astonishing. This species had been wiped out by the Zorathians. The ruins told a tragic story of conquest and annihilation, mirroring what humanity itself had narrowly avoided. For Elena, the discovery reinforced the importance of vigilance. "We can't afford to forget," she wrote in her log. "If we let our guard down, history will repeat itself." Back on Earth, cities flourished once more, rebuilt with sustainability and resilience in mind. Architects designed urban landscapes that blended seamlessly with nature, incorporating vertical gardens, renewable energy sources, and self-healing materials capable of repairing damage caused by natural disasters or future invasions. Transportation networks relied entirely on clean energy, with hovercrafts and maglev trains connecting continents efficiently and eco-friendly. Even rural areas benefited from technological advancements, as smart farming techniques ensured food. Production remained stable despite shifting climate patterns. Education evolved alongside society. Schools now taught courses on xenobiology, interstellar diplomacy, and even military strategy. Students learned about the Zorathian War not as a tale of destruction, but as a lesson in perseverance and adaptability. Museums displayed artifacts recovered from alien wreckage, sparking curiosity about the universe beyond Earth. Children grew up dreaming of becoming explorers, scientists, or defenders of humanity's future. For many, the war served as a turning point, a reminder that progress required both creativity and caution. Artists played a vital role in shaping this new chapter of humanity. Maya Torres, whose welding torches had helped repair starships during the war, returned to her passion for painting. Her murals adorned walls across cities depicting scenes of survival, sacrifice, and renewal. One particularly famous piece, titled Phoenix Rising, showed Earth surrounded by flames yet emerging stronger, its skies filled with starships ready to face whatever came next. Through her art, Maya reminded everyone of humanity's capacity to rise above adversity. Lieutenant Sarah Chen, now retired from active duty, dedicated herself to preserving the memory of those who had fallen. She traveled the world, delivering speeches at schools and community events, sharing stories of courage and camaraderie from the war. "Marcus Kane didn't die so that we could live in fear," she often said. "He died so that we could live with purpose." Her words inspired countless individuals to contribute to rebuilding efforts, whether through volunteering, innovation, or simply spreading kindness. As time passed, humanity's focus expanded beyond Earth. Colonies sprang up on Mars and Europa, serving as outposts for further exploration and potential refugees in case of another threat. These settlements were marvels of engineering, featuring domed habitats powered by fusion reactors and protected by thick layers of radiation shielding. Residents lived sustainably, growing food in hydroponic farms and recycling nearly all waste products. Life on these colonies wasn't easy, but it was rewarding, a testament to humanity's ability to thrive in even the harshest environments. Meanwhile, the IDI continued to grow, training new recruits and developing cutting-edge technologies. Pilots honed their skills in simulated battles, preparing for scenarios far more complex than anything encountered during the Zorathian War. Engineers pushed boundaries, creating weapons capable of neutralizing entire fleets and shields, strong enough to withstand sustained bombardment. Scientists studied alien biology, hoping to understand how invaders like the Zorathians thought and how they might be stopped permanently. Despite these preparations, humanity remained hopeful. The war had taught them the value of peace, and they approached the cosmos with a spirit of curiosity rather than hostility. Diplomatic envoys accompanied exploratory missions, carrying messages of goodwill to any species they encountered. Trade agreements were established with benevolent aliens, fostering alliances that strengthened humanity's position in the galaxy. Yet the specter of danger lingered. Deep space scans occasionally detected anomalies, clusters of ships moving suspiciously near Earth's borders or strange signals emanating from uncharted regions. Each discovery sent ripples of unease through the population, reminding them that the universe was vast and unpredictable. But instead of succumbing to fear, humanity doubled down on its commitment to preparedness. Factories churned out new starships, while researchers worked tirelessly to unlock the secrets of alien technology. Above Earth, hidden among the clouds, floated humanity's greatest achievement since the war, a fleet of star destroyers unlike anything seen before. Sleek and imposing, these vessels bristled with weaponry, yet carried diplomatic chambers for negotiations. They symbolized humanity's dual identity, as builders and defenders, creators and warriors. Their presence reassured citizens below that Earth was safe, guarded by a force capable of standing toe-to-toe with any adversary. Centuries earlier, humanity had faced extinction and chosen to unite. 3 millennia of peace had lulled them into complacency, but the Zorathian invasion shattered that illusion. Now, they stood ready, not just to survive, but to thrive. They looked toward the stars with clear eyes, knowing full well the risks that lay ahead. Yet they also carried within them the knowledge that they had overcome impossible odds before, and they could do so again. On a quiet evening, decades after the war, a child gazed up at the night sky, pointing excitedly at a streak of light passing overhead. It wasn't a meteor or a satellite. It was one of Earth's starships returning home after a successful mission. The child's parent smiled, placing a hand on their shoulder. "That's our future up there," they said softly, "and we'll protect it no matter what." For humanity, the journey was far from over. Challenges awaited in the depths of space, mysteries yet unsolved, and enemies still lurking in the shadows. But armed with determination, ingenuity, and an unshakable belief in their potential, they faced the unknown with courage. After 3,000 years of peace interrupted by war, humanity remembered what it meant to fight and win. And high, above the planet, floating silently among the stars, their star destroyers stood watch, guardians of a fragile yet resilient world.